Hi, it's Ellen again with episode number 34 on the fame of Joseph Smith. This is one of 1,000 evidences for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And today we're going to be talking about how Joseph Smith, his name was known for good and evil. This was a fulfillment of prophecy. We didn't include this in our episode on prophecies, but this is a very definite prophecy given by Moroni that has been fulfilled. Moroni appeared to Joseph Smith, and this is in the Book of Joseph Smith, chapter 1, verse 33, that in this appearance, Moroni told Joseph Smith, "Your name will be known for good and evil among all nations." Now, this was all nations. When I went to on my mission to New Zealand as a young man, everybody knew about Joseph Smith. Even in the islands of Tonga, I spent 3 years there. I had occasion to be on a very remote corner of the island. There was no paved road to this part of the island. Came to a thatched hut, ground floor, and spoke to this fellow. He was not LDS. His name was Paula, and he had some anti-LDS literature sitting on the mat. They cover the ground with the mat, and we had quite an interesting discussion. The point is, the name of Joseph Smith is carried around to the ends of the earth. The ends of the earth. Literally, in fulfillment of what Moroni said, that his name will be known for good and evil. And I might add that they've dug up the critics have dug up a lot of so-called evil problems. We're going to find out in future segments that a lot of this evil, so-called evil, was manufactured, made up. Sometimes there's a thread of truth. It's like the blind man and the camel. They can't see what they're feeling. One guy feels the leg of the elephant, and he swears that it's a tree. Another one feels the tail and says, "No, it's a rope." Another one feels the trunk, and it's a snake. Someone feels the tusk. Oh, it's a spear. Someone feels the ear. No, it's a fan. Well, they disagree. None of them have the complete picture, and there's a little bit of truth in some of those, but it's nice to have the whole picture. Now let's look at some other examples of Joseph Smith's fame. The Library of Congress contains 2,650 volumes, 2,650 volumes relating in whole or in part to George Washington, the father of our country. Now, this was several years ago. It may be more than that now. However, in the church historian's office in Salt Lake City, there are 20,000 books and pamphlets which have something to say for or against the prophet Joseph Smith. And some of these are examples of bitter hatred and vilification. This is mentioned in book Why I Believe by Joseph Edward Clark, page 44. The point is, his name was known for good and evil. Indeed, as Moroni prophesied, he often commented himself, I'm surprised that I would be the subject of so much uproar and outcry about the visions that have occurred in my life. So another thing I'd like to read about the fame of Joseph Smith is written by Josiah Quincy years ago. He was a contemporary of Joseph Smith. I understand that he was the mayor of Boston. He was with Mr. Adams, an Adams that was closely related to the President of the United States, former President of the United States. This Josiah Quincy wrote a book called Figures of the Past, in which he devoted a whole chapter to Joseph Smith. And I'm going to read part of this. I apologize for reading, but I want to get it right. He says in this book, "It is by no means improbable that some future textbook for the use of generations yet unborn will contain a question something like this: what historical American of the 19th century has exerted the most powerful influence upon the destinies of his countrymen?" And it is by no means impossible that the answer to that interrogatory may be thus written: Joseph Smith, the Mormon prophet. And the reply, absurd as it doubtless seems to most men now living, may be an obvious commonplace to their descendants. History deals in surprises and paradox quite as startling as this. The man who established a religion in this age of free debate, who was and is today accepted by hundreds and thousands as a direct emissary from the Most High, such a rare human being is not to be disposed of by pelting his memory with unsavory epithets. Fanatic, impostor, charlatan he may have been, but these hard names furnish no solution to the problem he presents to us. Fanatics and impostors are living and dying every day, and their memory is buried with them. But the wonderful influence which this founder of a religion exerted and still exerts throws him into relief before us, not as a rogue to be incriminated, but as a phenomenon to be explained. Joseph Smith, claiming to be an inspired teacher, faced adversity such as few men have been called to meet, enjoyed a brief season of prosperity such as few men have ever attained, and finally, 43 days after I saw him, went cheerfully to a martyr's death. When he surrendered his person to Governor Ford, the governor of Illinois at the time, in order to prevent the shedding of blood, the prophet had a presentiment of what was before him. He said, "I am going like a lamb to the slaughter," he is reported to have said, "but I am calm as a summer's morning. I have a conscience void of offense and shall die innocent." Quincy goes on to say, born in the lowest ranks of poverty, without book learning, and with the homeliest of all human names, he made himself, at the age of 39, a power on earth. Of the multitudinous family of Smith, none had so won human hearts and shaped human lives as this Joseph. His influence, whether for good or for evil, is potent today, and the end is not yet. I have endeavored to give the details of my visit to the Mormon prophet with absolute accuracy. If the reader does not know just what to make of Joseph Smith, I cannot help him out of the difficulty. I myself stand helpless before the puzzle. So there were many people that did visit Joseph Smith. This is one of many. They had interesting observations, but the point is, he garnered a lot of attention. He was a contemporary of the man that debated Lincoln. Lincoln and Stephen A. Douglas debated each other in running for president, and Stephen A. Douglas was a friend of Joseph Smith for a while, and often visited him. Many famous people were intrigued by Joseph Smith and his influence, all of which fulfills the prophecy made many years before by Moroni, when he told Joseph Smith, "Your name will be known for good and evil all over the world." Thanks for watching. We'll see you for episode number 35.